sometimes people think when you're saying follow peace, that it's about your emotions. And I really want to make a distinction between that. Um, you know, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because there is a clarity that needs to be brought to that. Sometimes and I usually do not use that word follow peace for that very reason. Because people need to grow in discerning what that actually means. And it can be confusing because you're like, my emotions don't feel peace. I actually feel fear. And I don't even know if I would use the word fear necessarily. It may cause you to feel fear, but sometimes it's just like, oh, it's more of an unbelief, I think, that people fear. So what I would say about peace or follow peace, what I would say more about that is when the Lord speaks something and it's Him, but it makes you feel uncomfortable, you will still have this knowing on the inside of you. Like, that's the Lord. Okay. You remember I said his voice sounds like faith. You have to, does it agree with his nature? Okay. When you're discerning peace, it cannot be about your emotions. Okay. It has to be by the Spirit, not the soul. So you have to discern. There's a peace that comes by the Spirit, and there's a peace that comes from the soul, which is more circumstantial. So you have to discern between them two. You can have this knowing in your knower, like, oh, this is from the Lord in my spirit. And then when I think about circumstances or what could potentially happen, then I feel afraid. Okay. So that's where you have to sort of discern between what's going on the inside of you. Is this my spirit or is this my soul? And that's a process of asking questions like, okay, I'm feeling fear. Why am I feeling fear right now? Well, because if I do this, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, you can safely say then that's not the Lord's voice. Okay, do I have peace over this situation? No, I don't have peace. Well, why don't you have peace? Because I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, well, that you can say isn't a spiritual peace. That's an emotional peace. You know, the peace that is Jesus, by the way, because peace is actually a man. Peace is Jesus. He doesn't just give peace. He himself is our peace. Okay. So, you know, I love that he says, my peace I give to you. He's talking actually about the trouble in the world. Jesus says, my peace I give to you. Not the peace that the world gives do I give, but I give of my very self. Okay, so you have to understand that about him. He's saying, not the peace that the world gives. What kind of peace is it that the world gives? The peace that the world gives is like, oh, everything's okay, sarah, sarah, everything's okay. And he's saying, no. That's not the peace I'm talking about, because listen, in the world, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have tribulation, and I'm not interested in saving you out of that. I actually want you to go through it and rise up in it. You have to know that Jesus isn't afraid. So he will lead you into a storm. He will lead you into lands with giants. You have to know that about him. And so if you look at a situation and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen. This could happen. That could happen. That's when you know that that's your reasoning. That's your soul. That's your own self. His voice sounds like faith.